3, 2, 1.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to our channel, Anything and Everything. It is a beautiful sunny morning here in Elliot. Today's video is the first of our repurposing videos. What we're going to be doing is make a fish tank slash fish pond. Repurposing an old cement plant box. It is approximately, I would say, 45 centimeters by 45, and it has a crack in it. So instead of throwing it away or trying to reseal it and concrete it up again, we are going to turn it into a fish. So getting to what we are working with here, we have got the concrete pot. A little while ago, I was brewing with this idea, and I sealed the water drainage holes with a Practice putty compound. Worked very well. I have tested this and kept water in it for probably about a month without a single leak or anything. So that worked perfectly. Obviously, there needs to be some cleaning up done here. The pot is, I would gauge to be 10 millimeters. So let's just have a good look here with the vernier. Pretty close to 10. Yeah, 10. And then we have the glass, the broken chip, as I spoke about earlier. And we have got, I said it would be about 5 mils. Let's have a look at the vernier. Yeah, pretty close to the 5. Perfect. So we got a 10 millimeter pot and we have got 5 millimeter glass. Two options I'm looking at here at the moment is, number one, whether I do a cutout from the top all the way down, leaving an area on the side obviously for the silicone, or alternatively the same thing but also a total framework so that it almost looks like a television. So we are now going to get started. Firstly, we are going to sand down the old paint off the cement planter box, and we are then going to see what we are looking at. To sand it down, I'm using a regular power drill with a wire brush attachment. So that will definitely get everything off that is loose and chipped and flaking. Get it down to a nice smooth compound. So let's get going at that. After the sanding, this is what we are now left with. Pretty nice and smooth. Doesn't look it though. But yeah, the paint seems to have gone in rather deep. Good couple of coats of white paint will get that done. So now on to the next step. It's now to decide how big a window or viewing pane I want to put in here. Biggest consideration is the amount of space left on the sides for the silicone to ensure a good tight water seal, and that will hold the pane in place. I was initially considering a border of about 30 millimeters, 3 centimeters, but reconsidering and seeing that we have ample of glass to work with, I'm going to go with a 20 millimeter border. So let's get that marked out and penciled in and get ready for the cutting. As my old man always taught me, measure twice, cut once. Don't exactly have extras if I cock this one up. So we are going, again, change my mind, but I do that a lot. as I fabricate, I decide now I want it slightly bigger, slightly smaller. So my border line is going to be 25 millimeters. Get it lined up. And then also I want a decent sized lip at the bottom. Reason for that is because nobody really wants to see your bottom substrate and stones and fish waste at the bottom. Okay, we have got, yep, there we go. Right, so we have got a 25 millimeter border on the outsides, and I'm then going to go with a 40 millimeter border at the bottom, just to make sure all those nasties and the stones and any plant roots or anything is covered. Right, measure twice, perfect. Let's get this drawn up. Oh, yeah, almost a slip there. Don't want slips when you're working with the cutters, that's for sure. Alright, so not sure if you can see the lines here. Alright, the line all the way down to the bottom, leaving the thicker base section to cover the marks and everything, and then again up all the way to the top. So here we are into the next step, and probably the most important part, and that is to ensure that we get a good, clean, level, straight slice. And that is 2 cuts perfectly completed, starting from the bottom all the way to the top. Now just to do the bottom one, and we have our pane. And how did I know that was going to happen? So there we go, perfectly square, thicker than I imagined. Base that is out, one side, and we have the window viewing pane for the new fish tank. So let's have a look at what we have here. Nice cut, smooth, corners look good. Yeah, so there's light sand work to get rid of any splinters, and I think we're good for go. So now that we've got everything cut out, I'm going to use an orbital sander, and we're just going to sand down all the edges so that everything is nice and smooth. Just like that. And on the inside, and that is pretty much just being held at a 45-degree angle to make sure that all the splintering or any sharp edges from the cut is gone. I'm now just going to do a quick once run over the whole body with the orbital sander as well, just to help with a bit of texture. All the way around. And all that is left now is to give it a good rinse out with the power washer, get all the dust off and the specks, and we are ready for the first coat of paint. Alright, there we go, all washed off and clean. So with the light fading tonight, I'm going to leave it to dry out properly overnight, and tomorrow morning we give it to the first coat of paint, and we get to my least favorite task, cutting glass. So we'll pick it up in the morning. And we're back this morning, everything nicely dry after the power wash last night. Today we're going to start off with spraying it out. Sorry, not spraying it out, spraying the tub. Small town syndrome, only spray paint I could get here in the color white, which will be giving a good mix. My little cheat I have is, oh, we get it here, my old trusty Lazy Susan. Comes in very handy for spraying things, easily twirling around in all directions, making sure I get all over without having to worry about walking around the table. First things first, we are going to tape up the inside so that we don't get too much spray paint overspray on the inside of the tub. So let's get going with that. Nicely on the edge. Prefer working with smaller strips at a time. Just makes it more manageable than one long strip all the way around. All taped in. There we go, got all the edges all taped up nicely. And now that monotonous task of getting the spray paint all shaken up. It's going to take about 2 or 3 coats to get a decent, suitable covering. So let's get started with that. Right, so we've got the first coat of paint on. One thing I'm going to say is I'm not very impressed with the quality of this paint. I don't know if it's perhaps faulty or something, but I mean the overspray out the nozzle is utterly ridiculous, not to mention what my fingers look like. But be that as it may, I've actually come up with another idea that I'll do once this is all done for decoration purposes, and will make it look definitely a hell of a lot more presentable. So while we wait for this to dry, I thought I'll just make mention, the piece that we initially cut out of the front here, I'm going to go and now do the markings on it, and we are going to utilize this to actually fabricate the water filter. Alright, so while we're waiting for that to dry, I have come inside and we are now just going to do the mark out for the filter, and I'm sitting with that cutout of 32 by 33 centimeters. Our first markings will be marked down for the front, the bottom and the back of the filter, and then have 3 blocks of 10 by 10 that will then fit on the inside. Lighting not of the very best here, but there are the 6 pieces marked out, and now to get them cut. There we go, all marked out, and we are now going to start with the cutting process. And just like that, all the pieces are cut. And let's put them together and see what we'll be looking at. So with the help of an elastic band here, I've just put the pieces together so we've got an idea of what's happening. We'll still be drilling a 10mm hole through the side here for a water inlet. The water will flow through here through a medium underneath the middle slide, then coming up again on this side with the spillover. Small but sufficient for a pond this size. Alright, so we're going to be working with a 10mm water pipe. So off I go and drill a hole 10 mils through for the water pipe. Right, so as many of you will probably have seen, I'm not sure if it comes through nicely in the lighting here, but the original purple has hit through the white quite a bit, so giving it more of a pinkish color. So a trick I did a couple of years ago with a built-in cupboard that was painted white was doing a light dusting of a wood varnish over the white. And what is nice about it is, depending on how you do your brush strokes, you get a nice wood look texture. So let's give that a bash. So let's see how this is working for us. And you are able to apply it thicker in places, thinner in other places, giving it all a different texture and color. Always remembering to finish your stroke in the same direction, so your, call it wood grain that you're creating, runs down in the same direction. Don't think it's looking too bad. Nice idea. Definitely way far from what my initial idea was to coat it. So let me get that done and show you what the result looks like. Alright guys, so we have got plan B finalized. Let me spin it here without getting too much on my hands. And we have got a nice gloss wood look finish to it. So it's just for that now to dry. And then, as I mentioned yesterday, the dreaded part of cutting glass. Alright, so while we're waiting for the varnish finish to finish outside and dry up, I am going to start putting together the little pump filter. Just to get the pieces in place prior to siliconing them in with a marine graded silicone. We are just going to use a glue gun, almost like tack weld it into place, and we'll take it from there. There we go. It's warm. Right, so let's see how we go here, starting with the back piece each. Just a single layer all the way down. And the other reason why I enjoy using the glue like this is when it comes to squaring it, you've still got some play with it. So you're not hard and fast fastened. Okay. Go, apply a bit of pressure, give it some time to stick. Alright, so we have got all our pieces together, tacked in, and it is now going to be a case of starting the silicone work to get in. So we're going to start on the inside with all of them, just gently rubbing in, making sure we get silicone into all the cracks, and then get working from there. Alright, so we have now totally siliconed our little filter box that we're going to utilize. Needs to dry and cure now, and tomorrow we'll be able to do the water test of waterproofing and ensure that the flow is correct. In my haste in putting it together, when we tacked it all together and I siliconed it, did I ever make a little mistake. The side ends are 10 by 10. And instead of the water inflow being at the back, our end and put it in front. No hassle, we will re-drill that hole there. To plug it, all I did was using the silicone that was over from the delivery tube of the silicone. There's always that piece that gets stuck in there and forms a plug. Took it out, cut it to size, plugged it, and siliconed it in. So it is all in and sealed. So that'll be also just to double check and make sure it doesn't leak when we start applying the water later. Pretty dry to the touch, however it is still a little tacky, so we'll put it aside for now, let it dry up, and we're going to get to the wonderful task of glass cutting. Right, so what have we got here? We've got our piece of glass with the horrible chip in it, and we are going to measure out a 34 by 35 centimeter sheet and get it cutting. So let's get on with that. So as I was about to start cutting, we had one hell of a downpour here, just on 30 mils in just under an hour. So in any case, let's get on with the glass cutting. All is marked out. You get various kinds of glass cutters on the market today. I'm using this one today. What's nice about it is you've got a turn off with a little glass knocker, and insert your oil, turn it fast, get a nice seal there. And what I like to do is just by taking a piece of paper and scoring along the paper, you can then see the oil run along the score, knowing that it is now well lubricated. So let's get going here on the glass cutting. Alright, so I've got my ruler down along the line, and the noise you want to hear is almost the same as tearing a piece of paper, not a crunching sound. Making sure that it goes over on both sides. You want to see your score mark on it, and just like that, along the crack. Right, so now that we've got the glass cut, just to make sure that we've got no sharp edges, I'm just going to take a piece of sandpaper and just run it on the tips, just on both sides. You also don't want the fish catching a sharp edge. They brush up against the glass on the inside. Now just running at a 45-degree angle of the paint so that you don't accidentally scratch the glass around the corner slightly, and there isn't a need to press very hard, because you don't want the sandpaper to cut through the sharp glass and into your hand. So maybe consider a sanding block in need. Okay, and one more side to go. Round that edge nicely. And there we go, no edges sharp. Absolutely perfect. Right, now for the fitting to the fish tank. Right, so we've got the fish tank. It is all dry up and everything, so we're just going to whip out the tape we put on the inside to prevent some overflows and splashing on the inside. There we go. And boom. So we're going to take the glass, bearing in mind it's 34 by 35 centimeters. Back around. And we have a perfect fitting sheet of glass. Inside, nice clearance. Alright, so now we'll get to the siliconing. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to turn this around and give it a brush out. Alright, let's make sure that we've got all the dust and everything out. We are going to lay the silicone on the inside of the pot, and then we will place the glass nicely in the inside, level with the tops, making sure that it fits nice and perfect. Sometimes there will be a bit of play, bearing in mind these pots are not 100% square. So as you can see in the bottom corner we have got a little bit of play there. So it's either play at the bottom or the play on the top. I will rather silicone further in up here than have a leak at the bottom. So we'll make sure that the beading is all good on the bottom there. Right, so as you can see, I've cut a reasonably sized slot in the silicone gun because we're wanting a decent sized bead to run through there. So let's get inside here. All the way up to the top. And then all down the bottom. Okay. Entering the glass from the one side. And then letting it press down. Alright, just wanting to put a bit of weight in there, but nothing that's going to break the glass, just to make sure that everything is level and lined. Now because of that slight play that we had in it, we're going to just level it over there. There we go, and it will stay like that for 24 hours, and then we will get around to siliconing along the inside front. Alright, so it's been about 24 hours now, and we are going to do the siliconing on the outside of the glass. So let's look what we're sitting with here now. Get the weights out. Not to drop it on the glass. Okay, let's have a look. There we go, perfect. You'll see the silicone spill over from what we did yesterday. So all I'm going to do is just take a knife, hobby knife, slice it up, nice and flat with the side, and then we're going to do the beading. Right, now that we've got the excess silicone off, I am now going to run the beadwork all along the inside, and then we are going to make sure it goes in deep, just using a plastic spoon to run a nice clear, clean line there. Okay, let's get it nicely focused there. Got the catch tray there, and we're gonna start with the water on the inlet side. Okay, just check around and no leaks. So we're gonna go further, and it is almost full. And there we start. Absolutely perfect, and everything is bone dry. Right, so we have got exactly what we were looking for. No leaks of any sort. Working perfectly. Water flow should be perfect as well. So what we're going to do in the meantime is, now that the filter box is finished, we are going to fabricate the lip that'll go over there to prevent the water from running down the side of it. And then in the end of the day, what we'll be looking at is having the filter box standing somewhat like that, taking a lot of the support on the framework of the pole of the pond itself, and then the overflow falling in just off center of the tank. Intentions, let's hope it works. Right, so we have cut down just a piece of scrap perspex, 10.5 centimeters long, 2.5 centimeters wide. Fits perfectly in for the flap, so that we have the water cascading over the edge, not running down there. So we are just going to run a line silicone bead on the filter. Okay, make sure we get it right at the bottom. Give it its distance that you want it from the edge. Perfect. A little bit of silicone just to hold on the edges. Put a little dab in this corner. There we go. Then what I'm going to do is, once it has dried and in place, I'm just going to run a line of silicone, just a bead, all the way down the sides here, just to make sure the water is funneled downwards, straight over, and not over the edges, just to give it that more straight line effect. And you'll see the angle is not drastic. It's just enough for it to be directed down off the side. Swiping the silicone from the back there, and Bob's your uncle. Right, now that the silicone is dried, we are going to go ahead and do the water test. No leaks, hopefully, and then we can test the filter with a little spare pump I've got here at home, and take it from there. So let's put the water in. All right, so that is probably as full as what I would ever make it, and it is totally dry all the way down around to the top. Not a single leak. So let's try the pump. All right, so now we've got a small pump fitted. I've just put a stone on top here just to put it in place for now, so let's see how it goes. Right, so nearing the top there. Getting to the overflow. And the little water feature runs. So that brings us to the end of our first fishbowl. I'm very stoked. No leaks first time round. So we'll be closing off this build, and hopefully you'll join me for our next build, which will be slightly more complex in terms of what we're doing with the glass on that one. So if you'd like to see more of this type of pond build, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.